great big giant oak at Filbert Run that it would do really nicely, since the survey's been done, to automatically submit it for Heritage Tree nomination and really shine that incredible grouping of trees. There's probably, well, never mind. But the design, I'm so pleased with the new layout they did this last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And one more thing, I love your drinking fountain with the dog Slurpee in it, or the dog bowl in it, because when I was there, I saw 2 people walking their dogs on leash right through the park. So what a good thing.
Yeah, thanks.
I noticed you changed the walkways around the park, which is great. You showed trails where people are just walking through the tree areas. Is that still going to be open for people to go and walk through all those areas besides on the major trails?
Oh, definitely. It will still all be very open. We felt it was important to have those, visually just the sight lines open. And, plus that's how people use that park right now, whether they, bring a picnic in there, whether they kind of walk through the trees. So all that will remain open.
I have a question. This is Amy. About the materials used in the park benches. We have such a problem with that, and looking to the future, which we're trying to change how we do, are we looking at a different material to make the benches out of than just the standard wood that rots after not very long? I know there's quite a few benches at some of the other parks that eventually just die and they don't always get replaced. And so I don't think if we're looking at that, or if we're just trying to slap a bench in.
I don't know if Kendall, Denise, or John, if you want to field that question. I think one of the reasons why we use that material is that it is easily replaced, and versus maybe another material that might be a little bit harder to find. But I think you certainly bring up a good point.
This is Denise Conrad. I think that we'll take those comments and then we'll take them back with us and take a look at what our options are. We do have some other standardized benches in our other parks. So there's a few out there that we can look at.
Okay, well, I'll have to cut it off here. We'll have to get moving on. Thank you very much for your presentation. We'll look forward to that new park getting built.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, our next presentation will be from Victoria Meinig. Are you with us, Victoria?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Good. Okay, Victoria from the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, yes, I'm Victoria Meinig. I'm from the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce. Just kind of here to give you guys an update. So first thing, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we are going to DOCA, the Downtown Oregon City Association, and ourselves are going to be hosting an informational with James Graham and the Leland Group about urban renewal, the Urban Renewal 101, why now, answering a lot of those questions. What has urban renewal done for us so far? Things like that. So I invite all of you to please register for that in the morning if you have any interest in that. The second thing right now that the Chamber of Commerce is doing is we are promoting to please shop local, support local, save our local businesses. We are doing what's called a chamber crush, meaning we are on every Tuesday and every Wednesday, we are supporting our member businesses by wanting to crush them and show them love by going to their businesses. Tomorrow, Tuesday, will be at Oregon City Geeks and Games, and Wednesday will be at the Hive Social. So I hope that you also support those businesses and visit them and let them know that you care and that you really want to see them around going forward. The next thing, the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce is now officially a business recovery center. We were granted some CARES Act money from the county. So we will be calling all businesses, they do not have to be chamber members, but we will be calling all businesses in Oregon City and our incorporated areas and seeing if we can be of assistance. We have some great partners that we're working with, Lewis and Clark Law, the Small Business Development Center, some accountants, more financial advice, things like that to help our businesses. What the purpose is to help business become grant or loan ready, so that when the county or the city pull out grant opportunities, that they are ready to go, that they have all their finances in order and all the documentation that they need, and have any and all questions taken care of, and that everything is in proper format. So it's huge. If you know of any small businesses that are interested in that information, please let me know, because we have a short time frame. We've got a lot to do by December 30th, in hopes that our funding then is extended until June 2021. So we are pumping along really quite fast at this point. And then the other thing, we are doing a year-end fundraiser. We are a 501c6, so we do not qualify for fundraising packages, grant packages, or anything like that. So if that's something that you are willing to support, we sure would appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Kind of my. All right.
About the urban renewal meeting, will that be being recorded so that we can watch it for those of us that can't attend?
Yes, I can do that. I can record it and then repost it in our e-blast or on our website.
Great.
I do know that there'll be a couple other urban renewal meetings as well in the evening that you may want to attend.
What was the Tuesday business that you were going to highlight?
Oregon City Geeks and Games. Time to get some tabletop gaming. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks for
Thank you
letting me
very
attend.
much, Victoria, for your quarterly report to us.
You bet. You all take care.
Okay. Our next presentation will be from Pete Walter, and I've kind of veered from my normal 15 to 20-minute request presentations. I've given Pete an unprecedented 35 minutes for the very important OC 2040 community conversation on our master. Go ahead.
Thanks, Bob. Hi, everybody. So now's the time for you guys to get your creative juices flowing. I'm going to give a brief introduction and then we're going to jump right into it. So I'm going to share my screen, but before I do that, I wanted to give you a little background. OC 2040 is the update of the city's comprehensive plan, and this is our principal governance document for the city, and it provides us with a roadmap for where we want to go as a community, and how we want to guide development, and how we want to provide public services to our citizens. And it includes a set of agreed upon goals and policies to help us do that. And it starts with a shared vision that is created by the entire community. And that's where we're at right now, is the visioning process. Oregon was one of the first places in the country to pioneer visioning. It's a very important precursor to local planning and a tool to help us as a community manage complex change. And a comprehensive approach to this can be framed with two basic questions. So I'm going to share those questions with you right now. So the first question is, what makes Oregon City special today? Or if you want to ask it another way, what should we strive to preserve? And that's where we're going to start right now. And if you have thoughts and ideas after tonight's presentation and discussion, please be sure to go online and log your ideas into our community survey if you have not done that already. Or just get in touch with me and send me your thoughts via email as well. So with that, I think I'm going to suggest that Bob, we just go around robin with everybody on the first question. And then I'll record and type as everybody goes along.
Okay, you want me to just ask each person in turn or?
Yeah, why don't we do that if that's okay
Okay.
with everybody?
Okay.
Bob and Pete, I have a question.
Yeah, let's do, sure.
This is Karen. I've participated in one of these already. And participated online. Am I stacking the deck here if I respond?
Not at all.
Okay.
This is a very open-ended process and there's always room for more discussion, more creativity. It's not something that's statistically valid in any way at this point. You know, I think if you have additional thoughts you want to add, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Steve, do you have anything, any questions or comments?
So just to reiterate, the first question is what makes Oregon City special today and what should we strive to preserve?
Okay, Denise, what about you? Do you have anything for us?
Which Denise?
Oh, Denise Beasley.
I would like to say the Oregon Trail and Oregon Territory history. I have a few other things, but I'll let other people pick those.
Okay, Amy, what about you? Do you have anything?
Sorry, my computer froze for a second. So what's the question?
What makes Oregon City special today and what should we strive to preserve?
I like the smaller town feel with the access to bigger towns nearby.
Okay, thank you, Amy. John?
Yeah, I like the fact that we have the old and the new and kind of separated. And I like to keep it kind of separated. So you have the old downtown, the old parts of town, the Oregon, trail lands and stuff like that, and keep the modern and building kind of out away from that. So we have a separation of the two and not get too large or lose some of the countryside we have too, some of the open countryside.
Okay, thank you, John. Linda?
When I first came to Oregon City, I loved the hill. I went up the hill to the old homes. You went up the hill, you went up the hill. Absolutely loved the change of the topography and the homes as we went up the hill. I think that's important to keep keep that. And I still think we need to keep the river. I don't know how we're going to get closer to the river. We've got Highway 99 that separates people and everyone from the Willamette River. Right now, I mean, we've got the beautiful park there, but it's kind of hard to go over and use that park because there's quite a few homeless people that hang out there, and makes it a little scary for me to walk over there. That's
Thank
it.
you, Linda. Dennis?
I would offer, which I'm sure it's been spoken of before, is the quality of the main street. I think one of the charms of this community is Main Street. And as we grow and get larger, I think we start crowding out the possibility of having it a walking space. And on occasion, what I've enjoyed as I've only been here maybe 6 years, but I feel like at each time they have like they cordon off the main street for a car show or whatever, the draw is immense. There's a lot of participation. There's a lot of activity, a lot of energy. And if we were trying to strive to keep something that's unique about the city, I think it starts with a main street, and to do anything that can encourage more people to walk and be a part of what's happening down street. Now that would necessitate, I'm sure, a lot of parking problems we'd have to address. We'd have to address, can you really cordon off the main street from traffic? But I think it would be a benefit to the city if that could be a walking space from say 99 to, maybe all the way out to 8th or something, or pick a quarter or a portion of it so that it became a place that people would want to go and sit and walk around and have a meal or whatever and really enjoy that part of the city. We've got that elevator, we've got the beautiful view, we've got the possibility of the future of the legacy project going on. So I think it's incumbent upon us to consider the Main Street as Main Street's a key factor in like whatever we plan to go ahead with in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Carla?
Hi, this is Carla. I tend to agree with what Denise said initially, Beasley, concerning, I think our biggest niche in our downtown throughout, the old part of Oregon City and continuing is our niche of being historic and embracing our history, embracing our, trees and parks. We have a unique setting, is embracing that in development. Now, hearing about, Hazelnut Park sounds awesome. But if we can embrace as much of history as we can and tie that to our culture and our old buildings is what our real niche is to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Dee Dee?
What I find most valuable about Oregon City is its historic feel and charm that draws you in. We're very, very fortunate that our urban renewal has really bumped our downtown Main Street to make it so beautiful. But my concern is that now that we're starting to fill up all of our little empty spaces, our historical district's kind of only staying down in the McLaughlin area. And I'm up in the old Ely neighborhood, Berkeley Hills neighborhood. It's really old up here, just as old as Oregon City. And we are losing that charm. We're shoving in things and not concerned about whether it's near a historical home and or if it's looming over and or so I would like us to see as we go forward, listen to our neighbors and or pull our historical review committee up into Berkeley Hills neighborhood more and help us develop something before we lose the whole feel of that whole coming up Molalla Avenue, because it's changing fast and just going sideways. And so if you have homes near other homes, it'd be nice to have like architecture, either that or take it one step further and make it artsy. Just a thought to make a town interesting. People stay in interesting towns.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thanks, Dee.
Commissioner Rachel?
That's a really loaded question for me. I'm like Pete, I'm taking notes because I don't know what you think. Oregon City has so many great things to offer. When I agree with Amy, when I came here, I like the small town feel. There's a real sense of community that you have here that you don't really have in a lot of other communities, and that's really nice. And it's really hard to preserve, as our city grows. So I think it'll be a challenge, and we'll have to think of some creative ways to try to preserve that feel. And we need to have a conversation of what is it that makes us feel that way in order to make sure that we can preserve it. And that's a whole conversation on its own. But anyways, that's just a note for you, Pete. And, I do agree with the historical piece. Oregon City has such a historical thread that it's part of our tourism plan, and it makes our city unique. It takes support in order to keep those things going. So, those are all really good things to make sure that we preserve those going forward. Challenging things, but I would agree with what other folks have said for sure.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you. Commissioner Denise.
Well, like Pete and Rachel, I'm also taking notes. I would have to say that for me, and I've been here quite a while, when the town was less than 12,000 people, and I still think of Oregon City as a town, as opposed to a city. And I think the thing that we need to understand and value is that Oregon City's history is its past, its present, and its future. It's all about where we came from as a community, warts and all. We need to do everything we can to maintain our historic small town feel as well as our history. And I think it's important that we look at how to moderate our growth to maintain our livability. When we get to a point to where we don't know our neighbors because we've gotten to a point to where it's just some other, bedroom community. And I don't think of Oregon City as a bedroom community, although people in other areas of our metro area do. We are not a bedroom community. We are an autonomous city. And just being out and about today, I probably ran into not people I know intimately, but people I knew. I can see them in any part of Oregon City. I don't think you can say that in a lot of other communities. So that's something that's special about this place that we live in.
Okay, thank you. Tony, did you have any thoughts?
Thanks, Bob. I think it's probably more for the CIC group. I'm pretty involved with this, so I don't know that I need to add at this point. But thank you for the offer. This is really
Come on, Tony, you got to say something. Everybody else has said something.
Well, Denise, we take the direction of the commission. I think there's, so many wonderful things about Oregon City and so many amazing opportunities. And it's really, how do you balance that small town, that historical context that we have in McLaughlin Conservation District, the Kenema National Register District, some of these beautiful landmarks that we have, with providing those opportunities for, continuing to grow our businesses and our employment opportunities. And then, how do we really, in my opinion, how do you really connect back to the Clackamas and the Willamette through, we've got parks down there, Willamette Falls Legacy Project. So yeah, there's just a wealth of opportunities here that are just really, really exciting for the community. But then, how do you deal with some of those, whether it's, affordable housing options, homelessness, being the county seat raises certain difficulties for Oregon City just with some of the services that are provided here. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and I agree with everything that I've heard tonight. It's really good stuff. So thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I'll put my 2 bits worth in. I kind of hope we can keep the hometown feel. I know when we moved here, I think it was about 14 years ago. Time flies, as you know, but I was shopping at Fred Meyer and I was trying to make a decision, and the lady next to me said, well, you ought to try that one there because that one's really good, but that one over there, don't do that one because that's not so good. Well, where I came from in Southeast Portland, all you'd get was a dirty look from somebody standing next to you. So I like the feel of Portland. And something, Pete, I think the way this is going tonight, we might have to do you in 2 installments.
That's perfectly all right.
Okay, so we've covered everybody. Carry on.
There is a second part to this.
Bob, since I got permission to participate, this is Karen, and I haven't said anything.
Karen, I thought you had spoken before. I'm sorry.
No, I was just commenting that I'd commented. But interesting. Okay, so we know me. I'm a advocate for the history of the city, but I'm also noticing I believe in expansion. I don't necessarily agree with Denise. I think we do need to expand, but we also have issues bringing people downtown once they move to town. But the other thing we have created now that we have the new apartments behind the town center or the Oregon City Shopping Center and possible future development, downtown is a food desert. There is a lack of places to buy quick things. There's a lack of places to buy groceries. We've lost our US Bank, and recreating downtown as a place to go on the way home from work or the way to work in the morning to get what you need. We really need to start focusing on that. So there's my new input.
Great. Thanks, Karen. Now, the second part of the question is, what about Oregon City would you like to change in the future and what can improve? So if we could go quickly back around and.
Okay, we'll start, let's see, we'll start at the other end this time. Carla, your thoughts?
What I liked, what Dee Dee brought up earlier, was that especially when we do new developments in the older neighborhoods, is building homes that not necessarily exactly match an old home, but have some type of feel and blending to where, you know, we're looking at a development on Holmes Lane, that 60-unit condominiums that are 3 stories that are going to be built by historic homes, like the Holmes Rose Farm and Stafford House. And it'd be nice to have developments that also promote our historic homes and consider what stress is going to happen to a neighborhood, for instance, when development, not to say not develop it, but how you do that to not just honor who's building, but also the neighbors surrounding it. And I hate with the limit of COVID right now that we're not able to get enough input, but that's my thought is, and obviously I like that we have newer sections of Oregon City that are different than the historic areas, but, you know, being conscientious on how we build. And, you know, I understand that there is a need for homes and affordable homes, and it's just how we think it through on top of affordability, but how we plan ahead in the future and not just stack as many homes as we can that don't necessarily match the homes that have been there 100 years or more. So that's my input. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Dee Dee, it's your turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I usually don't give up dead air time. I would like to see us improve our urban canopy with more native trees in our planting strips, maybe encourage more planting of native trees amongst our parks, and encourage people to keep them in their yards. I used to drive back and forth to Tualatin for the last year and a half, and they are moving their sidewalks up and into lawns, even in apartment complexes. They are moving them out into the street on really busy boulevards, and they are all using it as a traffic control. But they're really building around their large trees, and that pleases me to see that happen. There's also a push I would like us to see about planting more white oaks and firs. We've lost that. I remember when I came up in here in '75, we looked like a woodland up here. We've lost all of our big trees and we're losing more daily. And if we could give an incentive to a lot or a neighborhood to preserve those, bump out a curb so it can be built around, modify sidewalks so they can lump over the roots that come over. I would like to see us be more inclusive to our canopy and native trees and build back up our woodland around our homes again.
Okay, thank you. Dennis.
I just want to add to mine. I would just add, helping more access for pedestrian traffic, which would include probably ways in which they can move from one place to another down through the Main Street area or other areas. Right now, it seems like we don't have a walking little town. It's sparse at best, and so it becomes a little bit difficult for people to get out of their car and walk. One, from parking is a problem, an ongoing problem. But basically, I guess my pitch would be for encouraging pedestrian traffic and how they could have access to the downtown.
Thank you, Dennis. Linda, your turn.
I would like to have the building process streamlined. Oregon City has a long lead time, longer than most cities, from when they start the plans to when it's finished. And the longer the builder holds money, the more expensive it is. Therefore, that drives up the homes in Oregon City. If there would be some way that the building process can be done where they can give you at the counter, we have a 50% chance, 80% chance or whatever of getting this project done. I think that would help speed up the process, not for your big projects that you have for your developments, but if you're just building an individual house on a spot lot, that's more of what I'm talking about. That would speed up the process, save money, and make the homes more affordable. That's it.
Thank you. John.
I just hope we don't build too quickly and try to become a big city and lose everything's talking. Whatever it's about, I love about the city, we lose that by just overbuilding too quickly and losing our charm. And talk about downtown areas. There's some way you get a little type shuttle system. Let's say from the college downtown, and people get a shuttle down there, and you wouldn't have a parking problem. You could walk around for an hour, 2 hours, eat whatever, and then you just shuttle back up to the college. And then you're able just to drive home with saving a lot of parking down there, because we want that downtown area to be where we want to be. We got to find a way to get up and down there without having a parking problem, because parking will keep people away, and that will ruin our downtown.
Hey, Pete, can you share your screen and show the question?
Yes, sure. 1 second. Here's this question. What about Oregon City would you like to change in the future, and what can improve?
Okay, it's Amy's turn.
I like going not quite first because you get to listen to everybody. I love Dennis's idea about Main Street. I do love that. I would love to see the neighborhoods, some projects around neighborhoods where you would go into a neighborhood, you do a brainstorming or type of a thing of, if you could fix anything in your neighborhood, other than traffic, because that's not feasible, but what would you like to see? And then I would like to see us go after grants for things like that. Because if we could take some of people know in their neighborhood what the blighted area is, or maybe there's a whole run of sidewalks that the street trees have pushed up, that we could get a grant if we're, we're just focusing on a neighborhood, to really let the neighborhoods feel success and to really highlight and get everybody excited again about where they live. And, I think that would help us get out and meet our neighbors again. Just looking for ways to let the neighborhoods feel success through small, and not your typical enhancement grant idea, something that's, we go to them, what would you like, type of a scenario.
Thank you, Amy. Denise Beasley.
I really appreciated Karen's comments about the food desert. Our neighborhood is in a food desert. We have one small Minute Mart, and that's it. We used to have Spicer Brothers that I would stop at on my way home from work. There used to be another small market on Malala, and now there's really not much of anything. So I have to get in my car and drive up the hill to a grocery store. lots of nice places to eat. And then there's the bank. I'm really upset that they closed the downtown US Bank. I don't think there's any other banks downtown, are there? Yeah. So what are they going to do with that building? Could it become a grocery store? That's my idea.
Thank you. Steve, your turn.
Well, I liked the walkability part. We've got to do something about getting in and out of Park Place, and by walking would be great. That it's just too dangerous to walk down Holcomb. Maintaining the downtown look and feel. And we just have to do something about the large buildings downtown that are going empty. So don't know what there is to do about that. And then there's always traffic. So as we grow, traffic becomes worse, and we're going to be faced with through traffic on 213, Beaver Creek, all of that. So go from there.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Karen, your turn. Hello,
Whoops, I'm multitasking. I'm working on something for HRB Thursday night. Thank you, Denise, for agreeing with my food desert. The main thing, I think TriMet's trying to do a little bit right now, but my concern is transportation within the city. I haven't had a car available during the day for almost 3 years now. Was dependent on TriMet, not quite ready to try that again yet. But TriMet wants to go north and south. It doesn't go east and west. And better transportation options within the city. I miss the trolleys, but they were a visitor amenity. But we do need more ways to get around the city without depending on a personal vehicle. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to pass on the two commissioners and Tony this time to not put them on the spot so much, unless you have something you really want to put in there.
Gosh, I was prepared this time.
Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
I'll give you my list really quick. I think we need to improve our transit. So a lot of what you guys have said. Housing supply and affordability, sidewalks. We need sidewalks. Downtown parking. And I would love to see trail connectivity all the way across the city so we could improve our physical abilities and have biking and pedestrian access and connectivity around the city. So those are just a couple I came up with super quickly.
Thank you. Denise McGriff.
I will add on to what my colleague, Mr. Anderson, said, that walkability is really important. And I'll also agree with Steve Van Haverbeek that we can do something about traffic, and I think we should, because it's affecting our livability. And going back to Amy's suggestion, back in the 80s, we had in our comprehensive plan that we were going to do neighborhood plans. I still think we should do that. That would get at what Amy's talking about. On a local level, people could be involved in their particular neighborhood. I'm still surprised at parts of Oregon City that don't have sidewalks. And when I was out taking a walk the other night, I'm walking in the street, which is, not like Holcomb, but not that great. I think we need to involve our citizens in following up what Toria said: shop local, shop local, shop local.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Tony?
I'm good. I think we got lots with here.
Okay, I'm telling you, Pete, are you getting opinions and ideas tonight or not? This is,
Yeah, very much.
yeah, this is a big step forward in my vision of what the CIC should really be as citizens really getting involved in this heavily. So that's my opinion. Forge ahead, Pete.
Yes, thanks. I really appreciate your input, and I'm happy to come back and do some more work with you. I think we're going to continue the visioning through January, February. The project advisory team will be starting to craft a vision based on all the input that we've had in early 2021. So let's keep it up. Thank you.
And you've got more for tonight, don't you?
I beg your pardon?
You have more for us tonight, don't you? Or was that it?
That was it, Bob.
Oh,
I just want to encourage people to visit our website, oc2040.com. Encourage your friends and neighbors to take the survey and sign up for the mailing list if you haven't done it already.
okay, thank you. The next section is public comments. Do we have any public comments out there tonight? Okay, then the approval of minutes, we have 3 different sets of minutes here. I'm going to read them and then I'm going to take a vote on all 3 unless someone has input on these. May 6th of 2019, July 1st of 2019, and June 3rd of 2020. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, or changes to any of those minutes?
Yeah, I do. This is John from Caulfield. On the June meeting, when we're doing our going through our neighborhoods, what's going on, they have me as being part of Kalima, not Caulfield.
Oh, okay.
Just the wrong neighborhood for me.
And which date was that?
The June 3rd one.
Okay.
On page 10, and then they did the same thing on the July one. They bring me as part of Kalima, not Caulfield. Besides that, everything else was fine that I could read.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to have Dennis call the roll for, well, let's see, we need to somebody move to approve the minutes.
I'll move that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we've been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any other comments? Dennis, please take the roll.
Barkley Hills, Dee Dee.
Here.
Kanema. Kanema, Linda.
I approve.
Caulfield, John Keys.
Aye.
Gaffney Lane, Amy.
Aye.
McLaughlin, Denise.
Aye.
Park Place, Steve.
Aye.
Bob, are you voting? Yes.
Everybody votes now, so I vote aye.
Rivercrest, Karen.
Aye.
And I also vote from Kanema. I think that's it.
All right, Amy.
May I ask a question? Because this is my first CIC meeting.
Go ahead.
Was
Dee.
the comments the time for the roundtable, or is that later?
That's later. That's the last thing we do.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't want to miss adjourn.
Okay. Our next item is the staff liaison updates, but I'm not sure without.
Oh, I'm here, Bob.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, apologies for the beginning. My computer decided to not recognize my Wi-Fi 7 minutes before the meeting starts. So big thank you to Pete, who started the meeting. We have it recorded now. I just want to let you know the first half an hour didn't get recorded, but I'll make sure we do a general summary in the minutes of what happened. I have a couple of staff liaison updates. One, we held a meeting on last Thursday, December 3rd. It was our severely rent burden meeting. Oregon City this year met a threshold that 25.5% of our households spend more than half of their income on rent, which is considered severely rent burdened. As part of that, we are required to hold a meeting to solicit conversations and comment from the public. And we wanted to make sure we had our meeting in a way that really we're able to share people's experiences. And I thought it was a very powerful meeting. Some actually people in attendance at the CIC were there. The people in attendance, they provided some background stories of how they've been experiencing severe rent burdens, what they feel some of the causes and barriers are, and also some recommendations that the City of Oregon City could potentially take on in the future. The meeting was not recorded to allow people to kind of have authentic storytelling, but there will be a meeting summary. And for people that weren't at the meeting or want to spend some more time thinking about the causes, barriers, and potential solutions, we have a rent burden survey, which the link is on the Liaison report, and you can provide your comments till December 31st of this year. And we will provide both the meeting summary and the survey to the City Commission and the project advisory team of OC 2040 and to share with them. So please, if that's something you're interested in, or you know somebody who has a passion for equity in housing and addressing housing concerns and rent concerns in Oregon City, please forward that on to them. Thank you, Pete, for working with our CIC tonight on your community conversation. If you are part of a group who wants to do a community conversation, one of the planners, myself or Pete, Kelly, or Diliana can help you facilitate that meeting. We've reached out to all the neighborhoods, and I'm not sure if we heard back from anybody. So now that you've experienced one, if you'd like to host one with your neighborhood association, one of the planning teams can work with you to set up a Zoom meeting and send invites out if you have an email list, and we can hold that conversation. Anytime, let us know. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Excuse me. And as always, I keep a link to get access to development applications and notices. Those will always be on the, sorry, I got this. They'll always be on a link to the Liaison report, as well as the bottom page of our main city website. Let me get one more page. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Additionally, if you are meeting with a developer who had a pre-application conference with the city, you can always submit a public records request, and we will give you all the public records we have from that pre-application conference, so you can follow along with the planning division's notes on a particular application. And if you want to get access to our Trail News monthly e-newsletter, if you've not signed up, please do. Kristen Brown, our communications coordinator, puts together a nice roundup of things that are happening in the city, including our Parks Department, library, and other city departments. I think that's what I have right now for Liaison report. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, Christina, you weren't here at the beginning. Will you be able to send us their presentations?
Yes, so
Emails
all
about
the presentations you saw this evening, I will get electronic copies of and send it to you in an email either tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you.
Okay, Christina from Karen. Since you had to kick me out of the meeting Thursday night since it conflicted with PrAC.
Yeah.
Is that summary going to be available on your website, or just as an attachment to a commission agenda?
We will, I'm working on the summary right now, so I hope within a week to have it available online. It'll be saved on that project page as well as given to the City Commission. So if you want to go back in about a week, it'll be attached to the project page. And if you were at the meeting last Thursday, we have your email addresses, and I will send a personal email with the record summary.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Any other questions for Christina? Okay, the next item on the printed agenda here is elections.
Oh.
Somebody know something I don't?
No, that was not taken off. That was my mistake. Sorry. Use that as a default, and I apologize.
Okay, I was kind of worried I might be getting kicked out.
No.
I got a good chuckle out of that too. Bob. I thought you were jumping.
Major headline, Bob LaSalle gets recalled from the CIC. Okay, our next item is the neighborhood solicitation letter to the inactive neighborhood associations, which is an attachment there. I am still trying actively to get some of the neighborhoods that have become inactive reactivated, and we're getting some success. Of course, Karen was with us now, so she and Ed are representing their neighborhood, and we're getting a person maybe getting started in Tower Vista. But this letter I put together, I would like to send to all the inactive neighborhoods, all the neighbors in those neighborhoods, using the existing list of neighbors that we have. And I would like to get permission from the CIC to expend funds to get those letters sent out. And so, does anybody have any questions or discussion about that?
Bob, I have a question where you say that you're coordinating with Margie Hughes from Two Rivers. Can you elaborate that a little bit of what that means?
Well, I wish I could, but I have not been able to get any responses in my emails to her, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't really update you anything. I'm wanting to also send letters to all those people.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob from Karen.
Yes.
With the inactive neighborhoods, I'm assuming they're not using their postcard, newsletter, whatever budget, is not expecting anybody to do the rapid math. But is there enough money to send out those letters to the inactive neighborhoods?
Hey, Bob, I can answer that. Oh, I can answer that question.
Christina can fill us in on that. Thank you.
Sure. We are, Kelsey McNall is helping me update the postcard budget, and I was hoping to have that today, but I was not able to. The sending out a letter in an envelope and mailed is about between 2 and 2.5 times the cost of the postcard. So there should be enough money in each inactive neighborhood association to pay for their own letter. So this is really a request for the CIC to allow that to happen because there is no leadership of the inactives.
Okay, I would move that we put those funds to that purpose so that the funds from the inactive neighborhoods be used for a mailing to citizens in those inactive neighborhoods.
I second it.
Can I ask a question before under discussion?
Go ahead.
I took a look at your letter. I guess one of the things I have a question about is that in your second paragraph, what this letter is trying to do is to get people to participate in their neighborhood association, and in addition, are you looking for someone to be on CIC? Because there's a couple of conflicting things in here. And then my second question is, you say members of the CIC are appointed to a 2-year term. I thought the neighborhood associations were nominating their person or the person they wanted, and then they get appointed.
That's correct. And
is that wrong?
No, that's correct. And I think that they both, all this goes hand in hand, and first getting the neighborhoods reestablished and then going forward on.
So I will send you some suggestions offline because it sounds like you're asking for 2 different things, but it isn't saying that.
Oh,
okay. So Karen back, the motion only addresses the funding. I would suggest that Bob and Denise maybe work together because you also need to reestablish the neighborhood associations, which means you need a chair, co-chair, etc. So maybe Denise can help with some of that wording.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead and forward that to me, please, Denise.
Okay,
I
and
would-
the motion only addresses the funding for the mailing.
Right, yeah.
I would second that we need I wouldn't vote for approval without seeing the final letter. Would be my main concern.
I
Okay.
agree with Amy. I think if we can maybe get a final letter out, we've agreed to pay for it, but I think we all need to, well, we'll take a vote for that, but I think we can agree to see what the letter is going to say.
Yeah, clarification though, Linda, we aren't paying for that. Those are
No.
unexpended funds designated for those neighborhood associations.
Yes, and those funds
And
will.
the sooner the better.
Okay, from what I hear then, what we're voting on tonight is strictly approval for the funding, and we'll forward to you a revised letter after my discussions with Commissioner McGriff. So I think we have a move.
Oh, hey, Bob, I have a procedural question.
Sure.
Does and I'll be working with you on the details of the actual mailing, but does the CIC want to wait for a final draft letter at the January CIC meeting, or just to forward it on requesting any comment? So I'm just looking for direction.
Christina, at this point, the motion on the floor is to approve the use of the funds for the inactive neighborhood associations. If that fails, then there could be further discussion or motions.
Okay.
I would like to take the vote for approval of the funds, but I would not forward the letter to the neighbors without further approval of the letter itself. So tonight's is just approval of the funding, using the funds. And we, again, I think we have a move in a second.
Do we need to vote on, don't we all agree that this would be a good course to follow?
We need to vote.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to make it official. So I'll call the roll. Or no, Dennis, that's
I'll
your
call
job.
You're usurping my job there, Bob. I've been waiting all
Guess
night.
what those elections really did mean.
I know. Gee, this is my moment. Okay.
You're trying to get thrown out.
Barkley Hills, Carla. I think I missed her last time. Carla.
I sustain.
Okay. Dee Dee.
Aye.
From Kanema, Linda.
I approve the funds.
Caulfield, John.
Aye.
Gaffney Lane, Amy.
I only.
Okay, McLaughlin, Denise.
Aye.
Park Place, Steve.
Aye.
And Bob.
Aye.
And myself, yes.
And
How about Rivercrest?
Oh, Rivercrest, sorry, Karen. Oh,
Karen says aye.
I was shook from the core of my being.
Poor neglected Dennis.
Okay, it passes. So what I'll do is get with Commissioner McGriff and redo this letter, and we'll get it out to you. We'll go from there. Okay, let's see. We're now into the roundtable. And I'll start at the top of the list tonight with Carla.
I am going to let Dee Dee talk, who is position 1, and I will add anything if there's something missing. So let's have Dee Dee add it.
Thank you, Carla, because as word got out that I was on CIC, yes, I had neighbors contact me as they do when something's abandoned in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So needless to say, I'm good friends with code enforcement. But I've had 2 issues brought up to me by neighbors. One is a triplex that is being proposed to be built on Myrtle Street. The address is 301, 305, and 309. Myrtle Street butts up behind the old WB Market and dead ends into the VA, the new be good complex for the veterans. And that spot used to be where WB put their dumpsters in there. So it's really kind of a small spot. It was probably about the size width of a street, not including the variance, but it's really small. And if you look at it, the buildings are being built 3 foot from the property line, which puts one of the side of the buildings about 7 feet from the neighbor's back door, which is a historical home facing Pearl. So I guess the advantage of that is if they stumbled out their back door, they could catch themselves on the side of their neighbor's house. They're concerned because just a few years ago, a duplex was turned down from there because it was too small. And now they're proposing a triplex and a variance to the driveway. So the neighbors are angry as hell, but have no steam to fight it. So they asked me if I would bring it up. Again, like I said, 3 feet from the side of the property line. When I built my garage, I had to be 6 foot. So fire people can get in and out. So that was that one. And then the other one was one of our neighbors on Holmes owns a Stafford house. He's a contractor and he's really very upset, along with a whole bunch of neighbors on Mountain View Street, and there's beginning to be squawk about the new development that's coming in across the street from the Rose Museum and next to Stafford. There are multiple reasons about types of complaints, from everything from why did they have a little place in there, and why are they 3 foot tall, and why are 3 stories tall, and why do we have to have so many people packed into one spot? Just from access to the back street, sewers, it just goes on. And also it's sandwiched between historical homes. And what was pleasant is that the contractor came to us, the developer, architect, and he said he'll be willing to really work with us. And that was the only real positive thing we've really heard in a long time from a developer. He says, bring us suggestions. That's why we would really, really like, in this case, especially our historic review board to be extremely active in this development. Everyone says too many, too high, packed in too many people, 3 stories tall. You have parking for 2 cars, one in the garage, which will become someone's storage unit in a minute, and then the driveway. So that means when you can have a whole family, more than one easily, in that type of building, there's no way they're going to have a 1-car family. So I
We lost her.
Dee Dee, I think you might
that
have.
whole time I was muted. I'm so sorry.
No,
You guys
not the
go
whole
on,
time.
come back to me later, because I gave you
Just the last 5 seconds.
Dee Dee, it wasn't the whole time. It was just the last 5.
I'm so sorry. I am being squawked out because of Myrtle Street areas, address 301, 305, 309. They're 3 feet from the building. The historical home that it will be next to, facing Pearl Avenue. If they stumble out their door, it'll be 7 foot.
Hey, Dee Dee, I think Bob probably wants to let you know we heard all of that.
Nip it. I'm so sorry.
We missed the last 5 seconds, not the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's move on. Dennis.
From Kanema, we were planning to have a neighborhood meeting a couple weeks ago. It was canceled as of the COVID restrictions in place, and we difficulty in finding actually a place. So we're a little bit at a loss for getting together as a community. The only exciting thing, I guess, which we can all be happy about our fire department, is that we had a key view of like the recent fire at the Blue Heron. Man, what a lot of smoke. And fortunately, we have good fire department and good help. And while it was interesting to watch, it was sort of scary to see the accumulation of smoke and what have you, and the ash that fell after that. So that was the most exciting thing that I could report.
Thank you. Linda?
I concur.
Okay, John from Caulfield.
Not a whole lot going on. I get a few phone calls from people, ask what's going on next to high school, wondering about what's going on with Plymouth Falls project. You know, people just miss getting together and talking. I have people trying to figure out if we can get together maybe in January. We do meet at the bus barn, and the school's been closed, so we don't have any access to that. We can look into it, but yeah, people just miss getting together and getting the information that, you know, we get to hear, because we still get to meet Zoom wise, but we're just hanging on and hoping we can get back to normal some point in time. That's about it.
Thank you. Amy for Gaffney Lane.
Hey, we haven't been able to meet, but we've had lots of interaction via emails going out from our mailing list. And as I'm out and about talking to neighbors, we're having quite which we knew Malala was going to be a project, and that's okay. I think we've gotten better communication that's been coming through since we brought it up, that John's been giving us a little more headway when he can. I just received a notice tonight, and I shot off an email that they said they're going to put in a 3-way stop at First Street, and I'm questioning that. It's already backed up and causing, you know, all kinds of backup with the 2 3-way stops we had. So I was questioning why that decision at this point in time, that do they need to add another 3-way stop? That was never part of any plan that I saw. I think that's going to just make things worse. We did hear from Josh Wheeler some exciting news that we got approved to go out for bid, and I can't remember, maybe Rachel would remember if they actually awarded or got awarded the contract to work on the road in front of Gaffney Lane Elementary. That'll take place next spring, summer. Aligning, there's a really weird jaunt to the road right by the school. There's also a little hill right there, so it causes problems. There's no sidewalk. The city bought the house there a number of years ago in anticipation of trying to do a better street alignment. So they're also going to be putting in one of those pedestrian activated crossings there, as well as a speed hump. And so that's been a project in the works for years and years, and we're excited that that's going forward. Every day when I drive or walk through there and either get almost hit by a car or watch people almost get hit by a car because there's no sidewalks, I get excited knowing we're coming to a conclusion there. So that's what we've got going on in Gaffney Lane.
Thank you. Our next person is the illustrious Denise Beasley from McLaughlin. Hello, Denise.
There we go. We had a steering committee meeting last Thursday via Zoom, and our sign topper project is moving along. We have the design made. We have a map of where we're going to put them, and the next step will be to get the signs made and put up. The really exciting thing that is the Waterboard Park on December 18th, the ordinance takes effect, placing the, I guess it's called the upper yard of where Public Works had their equipment, will be now part of Waterboard Park. And that's been a 5-year struggle to get that done, and it's finally been done. It's very exciting, and a lot of hard work went into it by people from all over the city, and it's going to be a really nice addition to all the wonderful parks we have. And that's all I have.
That is good news. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Okay, our next person would be Steve.
Oh, Park Place had a Steering committee meeting on November 16th. Had a discussion with Sergeant Pagano and gave us some updates on homelessness and lack thereof in the Park Place area. Let's see, we also talked about the pedestrian safety and the improvements that are going to be made. Finally, getting some crosswalks put in on Holcomb. And let's see, the next meeting will be January 18th via Zoom. And we're scheduled to talk about the Park Place urbanization plan. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Steve. And next will be Karen from Rivercrest.
Okay, we haven't found a safe way to meet in person, so we're staying in touch by phone and social media. We are keeping an eye on the development on Holmes Lane. Since Rivercrest was in one of the sewer moratorium areas originally, this is something we need to pay attention to. Our new neighbors, the police department, are much quieter than I actually anticipated in my backyard. And it doesn't appear that the Gardner construction is causing any huge issues. I'm not hearing from anybody. I do have to say, though, one of the values I always saw out of CIC is the different neighborhoods need to work together to understand impacts. When we addressed our problem at the Waterboard Park overlook, we found that the overflow went to Old Kanema Park. Now that it's being addressed in Old Kanema Park, it's apparently showing up in the parking lot at the VFW. So we haven't solved the problem. We've moved it along, and as neighbors, we need to work together on some of these solutions. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rachel Lyle-Smith.
Yes. So I'll start off with Amy and her question about the contract. So yes, great news. At our last meeting, we awarded the contract to the contractor for the Gaffney Lane widening project. So woohoo! That has been a long time coming, and I was happy to help and hopefully was able to help with Amy and the Gaffney Lane neighborhood to kind of make sure that stayed on the to-do list for the neighborhood. Obviously, I was going to mention the transition to Denise, but we've kind of already tackled that. But yeah, kind of beginning in January is the official transition. Granted, we're starting some of that now just because we need to cover some committees. And so I appreciate Denise taking the CIC for me so that I can more balance my schedule with new committees that I've taken on. So I'm confident you guys are in great hands because Denise will be wonderful for you guys. We hired a new finance director to replace Wyatt Parno, which was a hard, big shoes to fill, but his name is Matt Zuck, and his first day is December 28th. So we're excited to have a new finance director coming on board. And then last but not least, I'll mention the Myers Road extension. That's going to be open next week. So you should see more about that online and announced by the city, but it is scheduled for a next week opening, which is a really great milestone. It was a project that's completed on budget and actually completed early. So from our timeline. So that's a really good success story. Doesn't happen very often for big projects, multi-million-dollar projects to be completed early. So I'm really excited about that. And that's it.
Thank you, Rachel, and Commissioner Denise McGriff.
I turned up my sound, Bob, but I can barely hear you. Yes, so anyway, thank you, everybody. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is my third tour of duty on CIC. I've been with you in the past as an alternate and as a primary representative, and I'm looking forward to working with you all again. And I've been talking to Christina. I think we need to figure out a way to help those of you that aren't meeting to get on Zoom and have meetings, because I think it's really important. I've been to several neighborhood association meetings, and I would like to try to attend the rest of them, particularly Caulfield and Gaffney Lane, when you guys get on Zoom, because I don't think we're going to be meeting in person anytime soon. So feel free to reach out to me. For those of you that don't have my contact information, I can get that to you through Christina. Feel free to call me or email me at any time. I'm here to work with you and assist you in any way I can. So thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Tony, anything for the good?
Yeah, so obviously everybody, saw the fire down at Blue Heron. It was in their most southern building, what used to be some of the executive offices when Blue Heron was in operations. The Oregon City Police Department did arrest one suspect, charged him with arson. So more to come on that. Investigation's still ongoing, but it does look like it was an arson inside the building. What was the other thing? Talked about, yeah, we hired a new finance director, Matt Zuck. He's currently the finance director over in Newburgh. He's actually lived in Oregon City for quite some time, so he's very excited to be able to come work in the community that he lives in. Commissioner Lyle Smith said, it'll be opening or starting on the end of December there, December 28th. And then just for those who are interested, the mayoral position is open. So the filing deadline began today, and that will stay open through January 4th of 2021. And then there will be a special election held on March 9th to fill that position. So that's all that I have for tonight, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I do have a question. I'm going to pick on you, Tony. I didn't know who to ask. The new Tyrone Park over there by the high school. You're standing on Glen Oak looking into the park. There's a walkway that's split into two pieces. And the one on the left stayed about normal height and went to sidewalk, no problem. The one on the right went down into a valley and back up. And we had about a 5-day rain maybe. And there's at least 30 yards of the sidewalk underwater already. I saw you took a little piece of, concrete out of there, but yeah, we've already had a pretty good flooding right there. And I didn't know if people are aware of it or if people know what's going on there, because we get rain in Oregon.
Yeah, I'll pass that along to Kendall and his group that are working on that park.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could get that fixed beforehand. Like, we continue to have swamping at Chapin. So good catch there, John.
I have a question, Tony.
Yep.
The building that was burned at Blue Heron, was that anything that was going to be try to be preserved for the development down there?
It wasn't one of the buildings that was identified for historical interpretation. We identified 4 buildings in the Woolen Mill Foundation. It was not one of those 4 buildings. The unique part about that building was probably about half of it is actually built out over the water. There are pilings down into the water itself. So Grand Ron representatives reached out to us today to, we're going to begin, Kevin, those discussions to see what kind of impact that has. There was one scenario was take that building out and kind of open it up for, views and whatnot. Another potential scenario was to try to redevelop it because of its proximity to the water. So a little bit early to know exactly what the full impact of that is.
Okay, and Tony from Karen, just pure opinion. That was the office and Mill E. They're from the 50s, 60s, maybe 40s. but they were built out over the lagoon, which would be a beautiful place to restore habitat, as we've discussed that property. The good news is no, the 4 buildings that we designated as keepers were not touched by the fire. These are newer construction and rather flimsy construction, to be completely honest. That was a Karen. Bye.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments, questions? Okay, thank you everybody for your active participation this evening. It was kind of a fun meeting, and it is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll email my comments to Denise and Tony so they can see what my neighbors asked.
Thank you for convincing me to come back, Bob.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.